Welcome to Wrestling and Everything, Coast to Coast, with your host, Buddy Sotelo Esquire, and effervescent Evan Ginsberg, who's not so effervescent. He's definitely, nearly down to the count. I'm getting over a cold. And Dr. Mike Leno, wrestling's premier photographer. So we don't really have any guests scheduled for today. So it's really going to be us talking about the wrestling issues and other things of today.
But wait a minute. Let's wish everybody happy holidays, happy Hanukkah,
Well, Hanukkah's done with.
Christmas,
so.
whatever you celebrate. Happy New Year. We got to have a better New Year than this last effing one.
This has been a very 2020-like year. I got to say, minus the fun of a plague. This has been.
Oh, it is a plague. It's called I'll say it, the Trump plague.
Sure. Well, that ties into what we have to talk about tonight. First of all,
kudos to a guy Evan and I have known pretty much since he got out of school with Shane Douglas at Dominic DeNucci's, and that's Mick Foley for standing up for himself. And here was a guy who not WWF, not TNA would ever promote when he was the resident wrestling correspondent on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. He was on like a dozen times, and they never. Why on earth wouldn't you say something? Everybody deserves to have their own politics.
A tribute like you wanted to about Rob Reiner.
Oh well,
because you did want to say.
I have cried watching last night both CNN, Anderson Cooper, and then there was a special on like an hour plus. Larry King interviewing him in like 1997, and then I think it was Channel 2 had an hour and a half with a ton of Andre the Giant clips. That was one of Reiner's favorite films. I had forgotten that he had not just the movie that we're talking about, Princess Bride, which was a classic and
one of the best films ever made.
Billy Crystal, what can you say? Carol Kane, it had like anybody that was good at the time. Robin Wright, who was so beautiful in her debut movie, but he also directed and I guess co-wrote the Going to Heaven movie thing with Albert Brooks.
Justifying Your Life.
Yeah, Defend Your Life. Yeah, with Meryl Streep. That movie is absolutely amazing. Everything Rob Reiner touched, every genre you can imagine. And this guy was a true patriot, unlike the fuckwad that's in the White House right now.
Defending Your Life.
Yeah, so that was a beautiful movie. I urge anybody you want to see.
It is. I cry every time I see it.
All of this stuff. Stand By Me. The Jack Nicholson, Tom Cruise movie with Demi Moore, the military thing. There wasn't a genre, serious or comedic, the guy didn't touch, and a master. And the fact that his best friends, Billy Crystal, Albert Brooks, his dad, total legend.
Your close friend, Harry Shearer, is a very close friend of Rob Reiner.
And he broke up. There were so many guys that broke up. It's and for the fucking president to double down on this guy who is, just, I'm not Jewish, but the guy was a mensch, beloved.
We let you in.
Amazing human being, and
Mike. If you wanted to be Jewish, we let you in. I've always said that.
My brother converted to get married. That was what he had to do. I think. I haven't told Russ this, but
I've always said if you want to be associated,
my brother converted to marry the gal of his dreams. So
I always said if you want to be associated with 5,000 years of persecution, you are welcome to join the tribe.
We did a DNA search, my brother and I, and we always thought we were 100% Italian, but we have a lot of. Is it Western? Where's Poland? Is it Western Europe? We have a lot of blood from there. We might have a shitload. Well, with the Hauser, my actual last name is Hauser until my stepfather adopted me. So, hell, I might be Jewish. I don't even know.
Doogie Hauser, MD. That's you.
Yeah, Doogie. DDS. Doogie Hauser, DDS.
I'm Jewish Indian, Schmohawk.
That's hilarious. So, Evan, your thoughts, because it has been talked about a lot.
The guy created timeless art, and from what everybody has said, he was a good human being. And ironically, I saw a Broadway play yesterday, The Queen of Versailles, and the daughter of this tremendously wealthy couple, they were going to recreate Versailles in Florida. That's this wealthy MAGA couple. It's a true story.
Of course, in Florida they call it Versailles.
Whatever, yeah.
When you're down there, yeah, they do.
But my point being, the daughter ends up overdosing and possibly, they imply, possibly having committed suicide. It's very hard for kids who have rich, famous, powerful celebrity parents because they feel inadequate. And, it's like one guy that seemed to do okay was Frank Sinatra Jr. because nobody was more famous than Frank Sinatra. But
well, wait, remember, he got kidnapped.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He was kidnapped, but he didn't really let it faze him. He was doing entertaining, and you want to talk Sinatra. Nancy, I'm older, almost 70. Nancy Sinatra was I'm going to be a sexist pig, a hot babe from 64 on. And there is no better, as I told her once very quickly,
made for walking.
The James Bond song she sang, that's the perfect James Bond movie. No, it's
wait a minute. No,
You Only Live Twice.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That song is the best Bond song, with respect to all the great artists like Tom Jones, etc., and the African American lady from England who's really a belter. She's an amazing. Oh man, she sang 2 Bond theme songs, the only one to ever do that. But so the movie I'm talking about, You Only Live Twice, has that amazing. It's like a 12-minute fight scene with Sean Connery and Peter Mavia at the beginning. It is must see. You love High Chief Peter Mavia. You have to see this thing because it's amazing.
I'd like to rewatch the Sean Connery Bond movies because you realize, God, I saw those 50 years ago. It'd be like watching it new at this point.
I do want to say one thing about The Princess Bride, is that when I showed The Princess Bride to my daughter, she stood up and she applauded it. And she was only like about 8 years old when she saw it. It's a perfect movie. And Andre the Giant, the stories of Andre the Giant from Princess Bride could make a movie all by itself. Because there's 100 different stories about the craziness of Andre, the drinking of Andre. But also the humanity of Andre. They didn't really know how sensitive a guy he was and how gentle a guy he was for being so huge. But they also realized what a tremendous amount of pain he was in at that point in time in his career because he could barely move. They had to use winches and things like that to lower him down on horses and other things like that. It was obviously not a very dignified thing to have to go through, but he did it because he made, as you said, Evan, a work of art. There's no question in my mind, if I had to come up with top 10 films that are perfect in every way, I wouldn't change one thing about it. Princess Bride is one of them.
Well, it opens with Peter Falk. It doesn't get much better than that, and then you just go on to Billy Crystal
and Fred Savage from Wonder Years when he was a little kid. It's you can watch it a million times and a million times be entertained by it. And how many people are able to create something like that? How many people are able to create something like Spinal Tap, where you can watch a million times and be entertained?
And I should say the brand new Spinal Tap 2, that's on HBO, so it's already on. As is the Cheech and Chong documentary. Are either one of you guys seen the Cheech and Chong one?
That way.
I love Cheech and Chong.
They had the last movie, Cheech and Chong. It just came out a few months ago, and it's already on, I think, HBO. And
they already did their last movie in 1979.
No, this is one that came out this year. It's more a documentary, and it's them in a car on the road, and so it's not a comedic
Cheech and Chong made a movie called Cheech and Chong.
Who became famous? It was in their very first movie. I think it was the first or the second.
Pee Wee Herman?
Yeah, Paul Rubens was.
Yes, because he was the bellhop.
But did you know that Cassandra Peterson, a.k.a. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, was in his first movie too?
Yep, as a biker.
There's a perfect movie there. The first Pee Wee movie. That's pretty damn close.
I agree. I love Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. I used to, when I was first in college, having videotapes were so expensive, and we had a VCR. We had like 4 tapes, so we watched over and over again. We watched the Blues Brothers all the time. We watched Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. We had Eddie Murphy's Delirious, and I'm trying to think.
Star Wars. I had Star Wars. I
I didn't
watched
even
that a
have.
million times.
One of my neighbors upstairs had it. We went borrowed that when we wanted to go see it. I think it may have been. Raiders of the Lost Ark. So we had that was like
all
if
the
we had
good
nothing
ones.
else to watch, we'd throw those movies in there. Oh,
Oh, Evan, very
we
quickly
had the
before I lose
Forbidden
this train
Zone.
of
We
thought.
had the Forbidden
Evan,
Zone.
did you see the Pee-wee's Playhouse before the TV show when he
I
was on
did.
Broadway? He was off
Oh, I
Broadway.
didn't see it in Broadway, but I watched it when it did.
Didn't get to see it? The HBO, you can look it up free. I'm sure it's on YouTube. They filmed it that's where I saw it. Not the first night, sadly, but Pee-wee's. Well, the Pee Wee Herman Show, that's what it was called at the Roxy Theater on Sunset Boulevard, and then it moved to Broadway,
I
sort
didn't
of
see
like the
it.
Rocky Horror Picture Show, where we saw that opening night, and it had Meatloaf and Tim Curry, and didn't have Susan Sarandon, but uh, the Pee Wee experience, he was a lot snarkier and nastier, like he'd go up to girls with the mirrors on his shoes and look up their dress, as opposed to what he did. Maybe there's a portent of things to come when he got in trouble when he had his TV show, his Saturday morning CBS thing. And did you know the Friday night before his TV show debuted, the next day, Saturday morning, he had a bunch of wrestlers plus Mr. T. He had Hulk Hogan, he had Piper. Cyndi Lauper was on it. It was
Yeah,
an
because he was
hour
good
Pee Wee
friends with
Herman
Cyndi
special.
Lauper. He was
Yeah, it was a
always
Pee.
friends with. He was
Yeah,
always friends with Cyndi Lauper, going back to
he
his
was
early
also,
improv.
this was kind of a bullshit title, but he was the unofficial mayor of West Hollywood, and in particular, let's see, Melrose Boulevard, where they had wacko gimmick store with all kinds of weird things and weird books and weird paintings, and you'd see him in there all the time, just as himself.
So, but let's get back now to then what Trump said, which was
Well, but
absolutely
mention Russ. You tell it because I asked. I thought you were talking about Mick Foley's dental stuff and everybody online about that. But no, it's he parted ways with WWE and his Legends deal. And why, Russ?
because Trump is an effing jerk. I mean, to say that
Well, we don't
that
want to. We don't want to blow off our listeners.
I
Everybody's
couldn't
entitled
care
to their opinion
less.
that may like
I
Trump,
couldn't care less.
but he
I
stood
don't
up for
care if you
himself.
leave. If you are a right winger and
Well,
you
no,
think
we
that what Trump said was appropriate, go ahead and unsubscribe. I'm saying that right now.
well,
Because
no. I think
I don't want
we
those
kind of
people as
need
friends of
as many
mine.
viewers and eyeballs as we can
I don't
get.
care. You know what? Those eyeballs can go look at something else. Because seriously, if you feel it's appropriate to first of all, the way that you idolize Charlie Kirk and say that anyone that says one bad thing about Charlie Kirk should just be, hung from the highest rafters and crucified, left and right, and had death threats about them. And then you turn around and say the reason why this guy died was because he's not a fan of me. It's one of the most just
Yeah,
bloated,
well, that was bad.
disgusting. I agree 100% with Mick Foley that you can't be that way as a human being. Who does something like that? What the hell is wrong with
Well,
Trump to even
in the
be able to
wrestling
think
world,
like
it's
that?
mostly conservative viewpoints. There's very few guys, or very few. It's almost the reverse of Hollywood, where people will come out, anti-Trump and things that they perceive as bullshit. Versus Hollywood, there's only like Charlton Heston and James Woods and
No, there's a
who's the
lot
other guy?
more.
Kelsey Grammer. There's very few Republicans that will admit, and so I nod a cap at them. It's their beliefs, but it does take a certain amount of bravery because you then kind of get chastised the way we're doing it on a political scene. So very few open Republicans. I
Well,
think
Evan,
Mary
you
Lou
had
Henner
stuff
might
to say
be.
about this.
And wait, and
But
Dennis Miller, who was like the biggest liberal ever,
sorry, go ahead.
about 10, 12 years ago, he
He
went
went to
ultra
the dark
conservative. Not
side.
sure why. Pardon?
He went to the dark side.
Yes.
So, Trump to me is like every sleazebag indie wrestling promoter I've ever met. So I don't have this deep-seated hatred of him because to me he's like over the top, like heel. And I what I find absolutely disgraceful are the so-called religious and spiritual, allegedly
Yeah.
spiritual people who endorse, ICE in masks, arresting the tamale lady like she's a threat, while the kids are sobbing and they're ripping their parents from them. And then these scumbags go, I have no sympathy. I have no empathy. They're illegal. Well, listen, dirtbags, every time you go 1 mile over the speed limit, what you're doing is illegal. Every time you fib on your taxes, it's illegal. Every time you jaywalk, it's illegal. Nobody's deporting you. It's a piece of paper. I've been an English second language teacher to adults for 35 years. Listen, because you're not going to hear this on Fox News. On Monday, you could be legal. On Tuesday, your visa can expire and you could be illegal. That doesn't mean you're a criminal, rapist, drug dealer, murderer, gang member. Okay? Go pick crops in the hot California or Florida sun. Okay? Not one person born in this country is willing to do that. Not one. The whole economy would collapse. The undocumented work for the super rich. Guys like Trump were paying these guys $4 an hour. Okay? So until you get all the facts, and you don't know all the facts, and also to become a citizen, there's lots of fees. It's like $800. Not everybody has $800
No, it's much more like
if they're
it's
poor.
Well,
several thousand.
you can pay Trump $1 million, and he has that stupid, idiotic program. One thing too, they've made a lot of errors. They have deported and into the wrong country, allegedly of origin, but then they don't rectify it. They say, oh yeah, we accidentally deported someone who was legal, but then they don't make it right.
Yeah, they say, what are you going to do about it? And the right wing goes, hooray, we got rid of more people who aren't white. It really is something that to see.
But the bottom line is white folks like us, not maybe us, but stole the land from the Native Americans.
Yeah,
it's their land. If anybody should be kicking our asses out, it should be Native Americans, a big mass of them saying, fuck it, get out of here, it's our land. And they'd be right.
On the same logical thought process, if someone had said no to my great grandparents that wanted to come to the United States, I'd never be here. You would never be here. Evan would never be here because someone had to say yes to us coming in. We're not all, just like you said, to be hypocritical about this and to say that I got in, but everybody else, no, they're terrible people.
Well, what about the Louisiana Purchase? What did we give them? We gave them a handful of beads, and we got Louisiana and other places there.
You're mixing up the two stories. That was Manhattan with the beads.
But either way,
but wait a minute, Manhattan. That's an even bigger steal.
If we hadn't given them beads, we would have given them smallpox and the end of a rifle. That's what we would have given them.
So Louisiana, the Louisiana Purchase.
Louisiana was like $2 million or something, but
it was still dirt cheap. Wait, what was the Manhattan thing? Manhattan, where property values are in the trillions.
Yeah, I think it was like $24 worth of.
If we hadn't given them beads or something, we would have given them blankets that were infected with smallpox.
Russ, where you and I live, we stole, not we, but white folks, ancestors, whatever, stole California, etc., from Mexican people. Not just Native Americans, but we stole from people from Mexico, and yet there's no greater people. Yeah. I have a blast anytime I shot down there, whether it was, they couldn't be nicer.
What about
I know they
New
have some
Mexico?
private issues.
How'd they get that name? New Mexico.
Well, Gordon and Goliath came up from. Remember, that's how they got heat. They obviously, we all know they're from Guadalajara, Mexico, but they're billed from New Mexico, as Jimmy Lennon Sr. was, and they got a shitload of heat for that. But let me say something before I also forget. Another train of thought. Again, when you guys get to be my age, you'll know what early onset dementia or Alzheimer's is
Oh,
all about.
please, we don't
We
want
want to
that.
send our love and best wishes to Sheldon Goldberg. His sister put out that
Yes.
he's got a long road ahead, but he's doing well. He had the triple bypass the other day,
Whew.
which had been rescheduled a couple of times, which makes you nervous. You get all
God,
primed, and
it
then like the
does.
day
Yes.
before, they say, "Oh, we can't do it."
Yeah, no,
Uh,
it takes a lot to get amped up for surgery.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
Dr. Mike, you and I know all about that. Me with my shoulder and you,
Yeah, but we're
you're,
talking heart.
I know, that's
That's
even more
scary shit.
intense.
That is
Yes.
scary shit. So this is a guy who is the world's only newsletter writer. Evan had a newsletter, one of the longest ones out there. So did Mike Rogers, but Sheldon had Matt Marketplace, which was not so much commentary. Evan remembers it because he got it
Yeah, yeah.
too. You know, merch and all things wrestling collectibles. At first, newsletter guy to run his own successful promotion, that being New England Championship Wrestling. As he said, he introduced, or I brought up Mercedes Martinez, but there were a ton of talent that went to WWE that all came from New England Championship Wrestling. And that great story he told of John Cena, he was starting out with Frankie Kazarian and Rick Bassman's UPW, Southern California, 1999, 2000, way before he ever got signed by WWF and sent to OVW. So he's in there a couple of months just as prototype with the. I shot there. I shot
I
Cena's
know, and he
earliest
came
match.
up and he invaded in Vallejo. I got to
Right,
meet him.
but, no,
So,
but this is even before that. So he's working his prototype, and he's going back home for Christmas, as was Frankie Kazarian. He was trained by Walter Kowalski in Boston, and Cena specifically asked Sheldon, "Hey, can I haven't ever worked for you. Can I appear on your show? And I'd like to work with Kazarian, who I see in UPW, California, because I've never wrestled in front of my family before." And Sheldon let him do that. But there's a huge tie into the guy that had the biggest retirement ever, retirement tour, sort of like a baseball or basketball or Tom Brady retirement thing. And it has links to Sheldon Goldberg and is grateful to Sheldon to this day. So our love and best wishes, full speedy recovery, better than ever for Sheldon Goldberg.
and what did you think about seeing this retirement match, Evan?
Um, I thought it was an excellent match, and I thought he did the right thing with putting over Gunther. And I think the people that saw it differently, they don't quite get it. I mean, Gunther's the future, and Cena allegedly is retiring. I have a feeling we'll see him in Saudi when they offer him 7 or 8 figures.
Shawn Michaels money. Well, but he also got over Dominic Mysterio and some other younger talents. He insisted that a lot of the NXT talents be on this card. So the guy is selfless, I have to say. He's good-hearted, great dude, John Cena. But Evan, what did you or the both of you think about the smirk at the end when he's tapping out and he does it kind of looked like a smirk? Or maybe he was just glad to finally say, "This is it. I'm now, I don't have to wrestle and hurt my body anymore."
I think that if you were a corporate executive and you wanted the ultimate in corporate shills, you couldn't find one better than John Cena. He is, I mean,
I've met him. Evan's met him.
he's a
He
nice
is a
guy.
nice
He
guy.
is a
He's a
nice guy, but
genuinely nice guy
he has done
backstage.
everything the WWE has wanted him to do. He is absolutely. I mean, he and the WWE are absolutely as intertwined. I mean, Hulk
Wait, I
Hogan.
want to ask this though. Because I didn't watch the whole thing. I just saw the clips. I'm way behind. Did they show Vince on camera? Because apparently Cena smiled. He views Vince as a father figure. Did they show Vince on camera because he was there?
No,
Did you
I don't
did
think.
you
I
guys
don't think
see?
so.
You didn't see?
No, the
Okay.
WWE wants to acknowledge Vince McMahon as little as humanly possible. You
Let me
know,
let me let me add something. You keep getting a zillion thank you, Cena. Yeah, thank you. He had a great career. He did thousands of Make-A-Wish, etc. He's been a good guy for the most part. Not
scandal
necessary.
free,
What's
scandal
that?
free, scandal free for his whole career, which for the
Well,
WWE is
the
pretty good.
apology to China was cringe, but that's a
But that
different.
wasn't his fault. I mean, what happened to China wasn't his fault. I mean, it was part of a lot of other factors.
But I just want to say this. this tour, 2025, the guy made millions and millions of dollars. They was selling photo ops with him for $432. You take a picture with him. Then he scribbles his signature for hundreds of dollars. We thank this guy plenty, So when a wrestler is literally dying, like Sermo, right? And he says, I need 50 grand, to save my life, and WWE looks the other way. How about
Yeah.
thanking some of these guys? There have been wrestlers who headlined hundreds, if not thousands.
Kamala came on our show. Evan and I came on Legends. I brought him a couple times on Legends. He sang on there. That guy made Vince millions. He made Fritz lots of money too, and
Yeah, how
never
about
got
not?
shit.
Yeah, how about thanking them with some kind of fund, to help them instead of needing GoFundMe's to save their house, to pay their hospital bills, to be buried
To be buried.
disgracefully.
Yes.
How about thanking them too? Yeah, thank you, Cena. Yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah, and
there's
this
a
is
lot.
not Cena's fault. I mean, that
No,
part
but there's
But you
been a
is.
know, you
lot.
know who should be congratulated every time someone has a GoFundMe? Chris Jericho
Oh
immediately
yeah,
contributes. Chris Jericho is an
and
ace, is a
Foley
good guy.
too. Foley
Yeah,
also.
Foley, Jericho. There's quite a few, some good ones. There's even Chelsea Green and her husband. They have done that, so they are all good. Yeah.
Bailey, our friend Bailey, also
Pam,
is a big
Pam,
contributor.
As
Yeah.
Pam
far
from
as
who
Mick
started and broke
Foley,
it.
as far as the fans turning on him because they're Trumpers, this guy literally fell off the top of cages, destroyed his body, lives in pain. I'm told that he has Velcro on his sneakers because he can't bend to tie them.
Oh.
Okay, how about not being ingrates? And thousands
But
and thousands of wrestling fans have turned on him because he doesn't like Trump.
yeah, so a
He,
lot of them are saying, "Oh, you've taken one too many chair shots to the head." And it's
yeah,
like, and
No,
I
he's taking
no,
those chair shots, and he's the sane one. All those fans that are giving him shit, they're
well,
the ones that
this
have the
is what
brain problems.
not that you need defending, Evan, but on your wall where somebody did post something negatively about you and said, "Oh, you're just a," it looks like you're a dope too because I looked at your profile. I said, first of all, Mick Foley has written two best-selling books. All
More
right,
than that, the two kids' book were
that's
bestsellers
yeah,
too.
that's a,
Four.
but his two books about wrestling contain more wisdom in them than just about anything I've ever read about wrestling. Okay, and then you add in the fact that Evan, you're an author. Point to your
Wrestling
Many
means
background there,
books.
blackboards and movie sets. Check it out. I got another book coming out in 2026.
and I
Uh,
asked this gap tooth moron, what have you done? What have you done? How dare these people criticize Mick Foley and say, "Oh, well, you're just an
But
idiot,"
that is
criticizing
why,
Trump.
unlike Hollywood, it's the reverse. It's bizarro world in wrestling. You just don't come out. People are afraid to come out and say they're not for Trump or they're not, they're Democrats. There are very few that will come out and say that because they know that the backlash is going to be sadly ridiculous. I've got to
Well,
go, guys,
I
because
don't
I got to
think
go
that at
pick up
all.
family at the airport. But I want to wish everybody, no
Okay.
matter what your persuasion or your gray matter, whoever you favor, just have a great holiday season, and let's hope for health for everybody and peace and love, as Ringo would say. And you guys have a great rest of the
you
show.
too.
We'll
You
have one
too.
more week with you, and then we'll see you in 2026.
And my cards just went out to the both of you. So happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy Christmas, happy New Year.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. You too.
So we can get back to this thing because I really was upset at that guy attacking you on your own wall. And
Which guy
considering
was this? There's so many, I lose
I
track.
know it's the saddest part was this. Well, I don't want to give him too much credit or anything, but he turns out to have on his friends list Barbara Goodish.
Who
And
is this? I don't even know what you're talking about.
oh, it's like Joey something, Joey, probably a friend of the people that we can't stand, you
This was
know.
today?
last night, I think. You know, again, you're suffering from food poisoning. You don't need this. You don't need some, gap tooth moron, giving you trouble for, saying stuff that matters to you.
There's a
You
great
know,
film called Gap Teeth Women by Les Blank. Les Blank did a ton of great music documentaries, and I recommend that film, Gap Teeth Women. Um, I'm
let
going
me
to do a
try to.
book
I'm
in
gonna try to find that post for a second while you,
I'm going
you.
to do a book in 2026, Grindhouse, Art House, and Wrestling Flicks, my lifelong love of the movies. And I'm going to have all kinds of articles and experiences about going to the movies, working in the film industry, and also reviews of tons of grindhouse and art house films that may be under the radar for a lot of people. That's going to be a project I'm going to throw myself into, assuming this food poisoning doesn't kill me this week.
Yes, and you're gonna mention the podcast throughout your that book.
That's
I
right. Every
assume.
every third paragraph.
Thank you. I did want to get perfect time for you to bring up what your thoughts were on the Jake Paul fight.
Oh yeah. Ironically, he's a MAGA guy from what I understand, and I walked away watching that having respect for the guy. He took a beating. He fought his heart out. The guy was bigger, stronger, more experienced, a better boxer, and he got in there. And he reportedly made 90 million after taxes, so that broken jaw may have been worth it. But the guy, he lasted 6 rounds. Nobody thought he would last 1 round. So he's a tough guy.
Yeah, well, it also shows something that if you get in the ring with a truly professional boxer, you are taking your life basically into your hands. A lot of
The
people are
whole,
like, oh,
I'm a big boxing fan. When you're sitting ringside and you hear the velocity, the force of those shots to the head, oh my God, you don't realize watching it on TV. I mean, a heavyweight like Anthony Joshua, this guy's 243 pounds and he's hitting you with enormous force. People have died in the ring. I mean, they literally died in the ring. It's dangerous.
yeah, no, and people like think, oh, well, I could just dance around and I could just put my gloves up and hey, he's hitting me with big pads on the end of his hand, so how bad could that be? But it's as you said, the force that these guys are putting forward, and that they're such experts at knowing where to hit to hurt. I mean, people don't understand that, except people who've trained martial arts, that kind of thing. It's not that when you're boxing or training to box or training to do martial arts, that you're just learning how to punch. They're teaching you want to strike here because if you hit here, that's going to hit a nerve and it's also going to hit your carotid artery. And every time you hit that carotid artery, you're going to be cutting off the flow of oxygen, their flow of blood to their brain. And you hit that enough times, that swells up, the person's going to slow down significantly. There's different areas you can hit that have different effects. You've at least done all your Tai Chi stuff. And you know that there's energy flows throughout the body in certain ways. And you disrupt that flow, you don't have to hit someone necessarily that hard. It's just like a perfect example is if you hit your elbow on the desk, right? You don't have to slam it on the desk. You just hit it hard a little bit, and you get that shock like you had 1,000 volts go right through you. So, and that's not a big thing, but it's being hit just on the nerve in the right way can really paralyze you. And so people don't realize that a lot of these boxers are like a computerized machine where they're looking at a guy and they're like making these analyses of like, okay, if he moves in this position, I'm going to hit right here. If he moves in this position, I'm going to hit right here, or in the chin or something. They're able to just see a weak spot immediately and be able to attack it right away. That's the great shooters in wrestling know that too, like a Dean Malenko or a Dan Severn or a Ken Shamrock. A lot, and in wrestling that sort of gets glossed under because of the theatrics of it. But I always love seeing guys that just really know, like when they're in the ring, they're analyzing their opponent and being able to say, this is a move that's going to look really good. This is a move that's going to really get the audience, rather than it just being chain moves that just are so obviously like choreographed that there's just no sense of like spontaneity to it. Great wrestlers like my friend, I'm gonna try to get him on here. Big Ugly JD Bishop. He was showing me some training videos that he was doing of like working with guys. He's like 5 years older than me, and he's still like able to get in the ring and do stuff, which is really amazing. And he's teaching guys like moves, like really intricate, like you'd say like you don't even see these things in wrestling anymore. But he's able to like tie guys up still that are like half his age and make them submit and just show the mechanics of it. To me, it's a brilliant thing. That's why I love wrestling so much. It's the body mechanics of wrestling that I think are maybe underlooked, especially when you see guys just hit each other over the head with fluorescent light bulbs and set each other on fire.
I like when the 6 guys wait outside the ring for the luchador to jump on them. I saw a video today. One of the 6 guys outside the ring was actually fixing his hair because he wanted to be nice, look nice
for the poster.
As the guy jumped on him.
Yes, look good for the poster, sure. And then when they're shifting around and just kind of like, but it's like the kung fu movies that you see where there's 8 ninjas, but 6 of the ninjas will stand there in the back, just kind of going while the other 2 get their asses kicked, and then the other 2 more ninjas come in. And
they never think they're all running at the same time.
No, because when that happens, it's a short movie. But anyway, so. I just wanted to know, movie-wise, have you gone to see anything recently you think people want to pay attention to?
I've been crazy busy the past few weeks.
Part of it dying, yes, I understand.
Yeah, I haven't been to the theater in a while. Now that it's a little quieter now. I'll catch some stuff, but I saw a very interesting movie on DVD. It's called Chino with Charles Bronson. And it was an unusual Bronson movie because there was not a lot of action. He was a horse breeder. And this teen runaway comes to work for him, and they bond, and there's a love interest, and it's actually a quality drama. Technically, it's a spaghetti western, but really well done. I was surprised how because with Bronson you're just used to nonstop action, and here he actually got to show his acting chops. I would recommend it. I always loved Bronson because as a kid he was Bronson and Eastwood, and these guys were the biggest box office stars. Yeah.
Since it is going to be Christmas in a couple of days, I want to know what's your favorite holiday movie.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, and 90% of your audience are not going to know it. It's called Truman Capote's A Christmas Memory. It's a beautiful film. Oh my God. It's 48 minutes, and Truman Capote narrates it. It's about him as a child with his aunt, and they're going through the countryside to gather, fruits to bake pies for Christmas. And his aunt is a little slow mentally. And it's beautiful movie. I've shown it to classes, and everybody sits there crying. It's like poetry. It's Truman Capote's A Christmas Memory, 1966. It's on YouTube. They later did a full-length movie with Patty Duke, but I'm I would recommend the original from '66. It's tremendous, and of course, It's a Wonderful Life is great,
See,
and
actually, I don't like It's a Wonderful Life. To be honest with
you're the
you,
only person in the world that doesn't
I
like It's a
am.
Wonderful Life.
I am. I will go on record, and I don't like Miracle on 34th Street. I don't like that. I think they're just so hackneyed to me. They're jive because they just have been overplayed so much. I'm sorry. I'm more of a fan of either Gremlins, which is not, most people don't consider
You
that
can't
a Christmas
mention
movie.
Gremlins and It's a Wonderful Life in the same breath. Come on.
I can, as far as something I'd rather watch. I've seen enough of It's a Wonderful Life to like last week, and they play it every year like 150,000 times. So it's not
Meet
like you
Me
never
in
get to.
St. Louis, where Judy Garland sings "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." That'll tear your heart out.
Well, I
That's
will
great.
counter that by saying I will watch Die Hard. So you see, those
Die
are
Hard's
my
great, the original.
Christmas movies. And a friend of mine once said, the perfect Jewish Christmas movie is The Grinch That Stole Christmas, but you turn off the video as soon as he gets ready to give the presents back. You just leave it at that, and then it's a perfect movie right up until then. So
Watch Truman Capote's A Christmas Memory. You'll thank me. It's like poetry, man. It's beautiful.
and watch Christmas Vacation, and you won't thank me. How's that? So, I'll make it. We can have a pretty short show this week because of your illness. I appreciate that you're able to even put a show
I'm
today.
fine. I'm fine.
You are
I
fine.
could-
Okay, I didn't want to stretch it out. I know you may have to go on a bathroom break or something like that because of the food poisoning that you've been through. Don't eat bad cake, people. Stay away from the bad cake this holiday season.
Yeah.
You have any
I got
other holiday?
liquid IV. We need them to
Oh
sponsor
no!
us.
Really? You needed to have that to get through? Ouch!
The pharmacist recommended it. I don't know if I
Ugh.
needed it.
Oh, you haven't used it. Okay, well that's
No, I used it. It's
okay. It shows pretty intense stuff. I mean, keeping safe and healthy this holiday season is not an easy feat with all the illness that's spreading around here in this town. I'm getting over a cold, the first one I've had all year long. I was like, oh, I've made it all year without getting a cold. Bang. Well, first my kids get sick, then my wife gets sick, then they get better, and then I get sick, and they all look at me and go, what the heck is wrong with you, Dad? So that's something too. Yeah, I guess I don't have any really major holiday plans. Staying around here, I'm helping my brother get over his car accident, so I was just in
how's
Sacramento.
he feeling?
It's a long road to recovery. It's just, let's put it that way. You don't spring back at age 59 and change from broken ribs and a C7 fracture in your neck. Like guys in their 20s can. It's like
It might be good for Jake Paul's next opponent then.
Yeah, exactly. Jake Paul looks only a little bit better than my brother does right now. So, yeah, I mean, boy, he's got some souvenirs, doesn't he? He probably will think twice about, doing that again, at least with boxers under, 60 years old. So, and let me see, any big WWE AEW events that are coming up. I really am, so since we don't get any more pay-per-views here in my part of San Francisco because of the cable deal, I've really kind of fallen out of the WWE. I don't really watch very much of it at all. I don't have Peacock, I don't have Netflix, and even though I'm paying for ESPN through the nose, they're not giving me the pay-per-views like everybody else. So I just wait to hear the news from everybody else pretty much and react to it, But I don't know. I mean, the WWE will obviously throw in a bunch of schlock and see if anyone watches it. I just don't think Hunter Hearst Helmsley has done that much to make the WWE anything more than what it was when Vince was in charge. And
I think they're so much more interested in the deals and the merch and all of that the matches themselves, they'll book a major pay-per-view a week or two or three ahead of time. except for the main events or whatnot.
And it's
So
so forgettable. I mean, I can't remember what happened in Survivor Series, for example. That was just in November. And if you told me what, I mean, I saw it later. I watched the replay of it, and I just nothing stuck. And I'm just finding fewer and fewer things. Even when I go back and I watch old WWF stuff from 84, 85, matches resonate with me. Like I saw Dr. Death Steve Williams, an NWA match with Dr. Death Steve Williams against Terry Gordy. That was fabulous. That was so intense. Even today, I'm thinking about what a great match that was. And I'm not thinking about anything that WWF or WWE or that the AEW has done in the last month. So it's. I wish they would find a way to make the special matches truly special, and maybe you can underbook some of these other cards and not try to throw in all the everything but the kitchen sink before you have a main event. You actually can have simple matches leading up to maybe one or two specialty book matches and then the main event. That's what I'm more used to.
they have everybody and their mother run in and kill the match dead, and a clean pin for a title or to end a feud is just more dramatic. I mean, when I think of like Damian Priest is a quality wrestler, but when I think of his career, like 90% of the time, guys ran in and killed the match. It's like I'm not a huge fan of Dominic Mysterio either because it's so overbooked. Let the guy wrestle and have a great match for a change.
Yeah, no, I mean, Nick Bockwinkel, you think about him. He didn't need that kind of stuff. And you
Right.
can remember some of the great matches like against him and Stan Hansen. I was watching one of those. Those were great,
And he
Especially
wasn't a kid then.
yeah, true. But you had a clash of styles. That's what I've always enjoyed. Is when you see like one guy who has a certain style of wrestling and it's really defined going against another guy who is completely different but also has this established style. With Stan Hansen, you weren't going to see a lot of arm locks. You weren't going to see a lot of abdominal stretches. You weren't going to see a lot of leg scissors. But with Nick, you would. And, watching those two styles clash is tremendous. Even like a Terry Gordy against Steve Williams, it was a clash of styles because of the way that you have kind of Steve Williams's like raw, like straight power versus just the uncontrolled ferocity of Terry Gordy.
I saw Steve Williams against Dick Murdoch for the UWF title live. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's also a big clash of styles because you have Murdoch's more slow pace type thing, and Steve Williams was the one that was more aggressive in that
Murdoch,
kind of
Murdoch was amazing. I don't know if the fans know how he died. He was sitting in his living room and he got a nosebleed for hours, hours and hours, and he was too macho and he didn't go to the hospital and they found him dead in the chair. Nobody
Brain
should have a
tumor.
nosebleed for hours.
Brain tumor.
I guess a stroke. I don't know.
Well, that's another message to everybody to take care of
Yeah,
themselves.
if blood is pouring out of your nose for hours, you might want to go to the doctor.
Yeah, switch off this podcast and go see a professional. But anyway, any other messages you have for the holidays for anybody, anywhere, anytime, and also to Sheldon, obviously our best wishes.
Yeah, if you honestly think that Jesus would endorse build the wall or checking a green card before giving a warm meal or a warm bed to somebody, you have a very strange take on organized religion, and
your heart really isn't in the right place.
Yeah,
have a heart for people different than you this holiday season. How about that for a holiday message from the podcast?
As an English second language teacher, I've had students literally from around the world, And some of the smallest demographics have been Japanese students. Why? Because the economy's good. People don't need to leave, you know? So when people pick up their family and move thousands of miles for a better life, you can't do the spin that they're all criminals, and it's a shame, we'll be history will look at this era the way we look at the Japanese internment camps during World War II, and we'll be ashamed of this at some point in the future. But
I'm ashamed of it now.
Oh
ashamed
yeah,
of it now.
oh yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be on a more positive note and more wrestling next week. But as we close out the year, we'll probably do a year in review and think of some of the great wrestlers that we lost and some of the other personalities that were gone. So,
By the way, I used to be a huge baseball fan. I remember the Giants with Willie McCovey, Willie Mays.
I saw him play,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've seen McCovey on the field. Waving to fans and stuff. I've been to 3 championship parades, so I got to see those guys, parade in front of me. But right now, the San Francisco Giants are about as good as the New York Giants. Neither one of them is worth much discussion at this point.
Those guys back in the day were blue collar heroes. They in the winter they had second jobs. They made like nothing. Tom Seaver in '69. Front page of the newspaper. Oh my God, Tom Seaver's making $100,000, like it was a fortune of money. These guys used to live in the neighborhood, play catch with the kids, and it's a whole different deal now, boy.
Yeah, no, it is, and I mean that's for all sports, not and entertainment. It's
Yeah. So this play, Queen of Versailles, it was very good. I mean, it's not West Side Story, nothing is, but orchestra seats, $299. If you have mixed reviews and it's not a smash hit, or there's not some hot movie star in it or whatnot, it's a tough sell. $299. It's things are getting it's a lot of things are getting outpriced for the average person, and it's unfortunate.
well, and then tariffs on top of all that don't make for a lot of people they're having a pretty thin Christmas. That Christmas stocking is looking pretty empty for a lot of us. But hopefully,
On that happy note,
yeah, on that happy note, and well, at least you've got your health seems to be improving. My brother's health is improving, so I can only hope for that and a better new year for all of us. So we'll see you next week, and thanks for doing the show. Good night, everyone.